everyone! Welcome to our channel.
I am Elaine Jane Valeriano.
I am Aprilyn May Canoy.
I am Ansurita Rosa, and for today's video, we will have a book review about the story titled The Sound and the Fury.
But before anything else, let us present the order of review points.
First, we will have a brief discussion about the author's background, then the summary.
Then followed by the comments on plot, then comparison and contrast with other great books and reviews.
Then three predictions, and lastly, the conclusion.
So now, let's start.
William Faulkner is an American novelist and a short story writer who was awarded the 1949 Nobel Prize for Literature. Faulkner was born on September 25, 1897 in New Albany, Mississippi, United States, and died July 6, 1962 in Byhalia, Mississippi, United States. In 1918, impelled by dreams of martial glory, Faulkner joined the British Royal Air Force as a cadet pilot under the training in Canada. But before finishing the ground school, he returned home and enrolled for a few university courses, published poems and drawings in the campus newspapers. After 1921, he returned to Oxford and ran the university post office, but he was forced to resign. In 1924, Fieldstone's financial assistance enabled Faulkner to publish The Marble Faun, a pastoral verse sequence in rhyme octosyllabic couplets. Faulkner's first sustained attempt to write fiction occurred during a 6-month visit to New Orleans. Faulkner's first novel is Soldier's Pay in 1926. The novel is about the impressive achievement by soldiers returning from World War I, and his second novel is The Mosquitoes, launched in 1927. It is a statistical attack on the New Orleans literary scene. After writing the two novels, Faulkner again worked on series of temporary jobs while improving himself as a professional writer because none of his short stories was accepted. Meanwhile, Faulkner written gets into more technically sophistical The Sound and the Fury, which is one of his major novel and well-known masterpiece. The Sound and the Fury takes its name from soliloquy in Shakespeare's Macbeth. This quote is part of Macbeth's response to his wife's suicide, which ends by saying, "Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." The Sound and the Fury is divided into 4 sections. The first 3 sections are presented from the perspective of Benjamin or Benji, the idiot, Quentin, the suicidal student, and Jason, the failed businessman. And the last section, or the 4th section, is narrated by a third person. The Gamsons are one of the several prominent names in the town of Jefferson, Mississippi. Their ancestors have settled the area and subsequently defended it during the Civil War. Since the war, the Gamsons have gradually seen their wealth, land, and status crumble away. Mr. Gamson, the father, becomes alcoholic, and his wife, Mrs. Gamson, is a self-absorbed hypochondriac. As their children grow older, Cady, their only daughter, also begins to behave promiscuously. Cady loses her virginity and becomes pregnant, but she was unable to name the father of the child, though it's like Dalton, the boy from the town. Attempting to cover up the embarrassment, Cady quickly marries Herbert Head, a banker she met in Indiana. Herbert also promises Jason, the brother of Cady, a work in his bank. But Herbert immediately divorces Cady and declines jobs offered to Jason when he realizes his wife is pregnant with another man's child. The Gamsons disown Cady from the family but take in her newborn baby, Miss Quentin. In the first section, it is Benjamin's perspective, the youngest among the Compson siblings. Benji and his teenage black caretaker Laster hang around a golf course where many things reminds Benji of his past, including the death of his grandmother, Quentin and Caddy playing in a stream, his attack on a passing schoolgirl, Caddy first kissing a boy, and her wedding. In the present action, when Benji returned to the Compson house, he interrupts his niece Quentin, the daughter of Caddy. Laster then takes Benji home for dinner, where his brother Jason scorns him, but Dilsey, the Compson servants, treat him kindly. The second section is narrated by Quentin, the eldest among the Compson siblings. Quentin's narrative is also interrupted by memories. Although Quentin has no intellectual disability like Benji, he oscillates between the past and the present. The present action is Quentin prepares to commit suicide. There are particular reasons that compel Quentin to eventually commit suicide at the nearby river bridge. Most of it involves Caddy and Caddy's lover, the memory of the night Caddy lost her virginity and got pregnant, but despite of being pregnant with another man, Caddy marries the banker Herbert. And lastly, the conversation with his father when he claimed that he committed incest with his sister, although it is not true. Quentin's suicide didn't narrated. His section ends as he walks out of his door. The third section is narrated by Jason, the third among the Compson siblings. The bitter, cruel Jason's work at a farm supply store and steals money that Caddy, who is disgraced and disowned by the family, sent to Miss Quentin, the daughter she never met. Jason bitterly dwells on the past of Caddy as Caddy's husband offered Jason a bank job, but then retracted it when they divorced because of Caddy's illegitimate child. Later, Miss Quentin also discovered that for 15 years, her mother Caddy sending her a money, but Jason kept it for himself, so Miss Quentin steals several thousands dollars from Jason and runs away with a man from a traveling show. The last section begins by following Dilsey as she gets ready on Easter Sunday. Jason wakes up, discovers that Miss Quentin has run away and stolen all his money, most of which he himself had stolen from her. Jason rushes off and Dilsey, Laster, and Benji go to an Easter church service. Meanwhile, the police refuses to help Jason, so he pursues Quentin to another town where he is attacked by an old man and he fails to find Miss Quentin. Meanwhile, Laster takes Benji on a carriage ride, but deviates from the usual course and Benji starts howling. Jason appears and strikes Laster and Benji. When Laster returns to the usual path, Benji grows calm, feeling everything is back in order. In the appendix, Faulkner describes the history of the Compson family fades away. After the mother, Caroline, dies, Jason sends Benji to an asylum and sells the Compson house. Years later, a librarian sees a picture of Caddy in the magazine and she brings it to Dilsey. But Dilsey has no desire to save Caddy as she is better off away from Compson family.
The Sound and the Fury has 4 sections plus an appendix. 3 of the sections are narrated by the 3 Compson brothers, Benji, Quentin, and Jason. The beginning part is definitely the most confusing part since it is narrated from Benji's perspective, that is known to have a mental disabilities. He cannot separate past from present, so the time definitely ends up being used as a motive. Next is Quentin's section, wherein it is narrated from his viewpoint. This section somehow gives the reader a clearer perspective because the novel switches from stream of consciousness. In Jason's section, his section flows along at a rapid pace. Unlike Benji and Quentin's section that are focused on the past, Jason's section are more on the present viewpoint. Then the last section is from the third-person perspective, which finally gives the reader a deeper comprehension about the events of the story. Honestly, it was a struggle for us to get through this novel. With stream of consciousness and non-linear storytelling, it was really difficult to put the pieces together. Faulkner obviously made us work and think so hard to put the puzzle pieces together. He absolutely has a unique writing style unlike anyone else. Overall, we can say that The Sound and the Fury require intense concentration and patience to interpret and understand. It should be read attentively and step by step. Otherwise, it will remain just a tale told by an idiot signifying nothing. The Sound and the Fury is about the downfall of once aristocratic Camson family. The Camson's downfall starts when Cady became promiscuous. In the story, Cady had to perform motherhood duties at a very young age. She stands as a mother figure for her brothers, Quentin and Benji, in place of the self-absorbed Mrs. Camson. She never had a chance to enjoy her mother's love, so at an early age, she started to live alone with her problems. As Cady got older, she saw through her mother's neurotic complaints and her father's fatalism and cynicism, she felt compelled to reject this artificial world. This only means Cady's promiscuity has something to do with her wanted to reject everything that has to do with the world of Camson. On Benji's section, Cady felt some degree of guilt about her promiscuity because she knew it upsets Benji. And on Quentin's section, Cady tells Quentin that when they touched me, I died. This shows that she does not really enjoy her relationships with men. Her relationships are deliberate forms of rejection of the Camson world. On Quentin's section, when Quentin said, "If I just had a mother so I could say mother, mother," Quentin is reflecting on how little affection his mother gave him as a child. Mrs. Camson loves only one of her children, Jason, the one child who is incapable of reciprocating her love. Consumed by self-absorbed haze of hypochondria and self-pity, Mrs. Camson's failed to fulfill her function as a mother. If she had just fulfilled her duties as a mother of her child, probably Cady would not committed the sin or not reject the Southern aristocratic code because she could have a mother whom she could turn to, guide her in a right path, and taught her what is right and wrong. Mr. Camson being very cynical and fatalism, and Mrs. Camson being not able to be a true mother to her children was the reason to their family's downfall. Faulkner's Quentin Camson in The Sound and the Fury shares many basic qualities with Shakespeare's Hamlet. Melancholy. In Quentin, William Faulkner uses melancholy in the section of Quentin Camson's to emphasize the sadness and pain that Quentin felt when he finds that his father and his sister Cady have disregarded the aristocratic code that brings order and meaning to his life. In Hamlet, melancholy is used throughout Hamlet to highlight the pain Hamlet faced after his father's death, which he fell into a deep depression, preoccupied with the sexuality of a close female relative. Quentin has been preoccupied with his sister's promiscuity because of his beliefs in Southern aristocratic code, while Hamlet has been preoccupied with his mother's sexuality. In the play, Hamlet even used the word incestuous for a reason his mother married his father's brother. Both of them, obsessed with the nature of death and time, deliberately seek self-destruction to escape problems.
First, our prediction is that at the final part of the novel, Jason will finally realize that what he was doing is wrong, and he will finally treat other people with respect, especially Miss Quentin. Through this, there will be a renewal after the downfall of Camson's family, since the last section happened or takes place on Easter Sunday, which is the day of Christ's resurrection, thus symbolizes hope and redemption. We know that this prediction is quite impossible since Jason is mean-spirited, petty and cynical. Yet we still predict this one because we still consider him as one of the protagonists. And as we all know, protagonists are the hero or role model in the story. Second, we also predict that there will be a time wherein Caddy and Miss Quentin, her daughter, will finally reunite. We thought that there will be a part in the novel wherein it will show Caddy's arrival back on Yoknapatawpa Country, Mississippi to fix her relationship with her daughter Quentin. Then she will eventually take Quentin with her back on the place where she lives and they will finally settle there for good. But sadly, that scene didn't happen. Lastly, we also thought that Quentin will experience what her mother undergone during its teenage life. Given the fact that Quentin is very much like her mother, she also grew up being headstrong, rebellious, and miserably unhappy girl. We thought that she will also get pregnant and her grandmother will send her out of the Compsons mansion. The Sound and the Fury ended with the Compsons' absolute downfall. At the moment when Quentin decided to run away, the Compson name is definitely ruined. Caddy was banished and neither of the two brothers are capable of passing the Compson name. But there is still a hint or a possibility of renewal since the last section happened on Easter Sunday, the day of Christ's resurrection, which is a powerful symbol of redemption and hope. Therefore, The Sound and the Fury shows the decline of once aristocratic Compson family. The novel focuses on the Compson family who struggled to deal with the downfall, disunion, and reputation of their family until the end.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned something from this video.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.